Okay, everybody, welcome back to another Likutei Moharan shir that we're starting over here. Just a few quick words of introduction and announcement. Tonight, we're going to be learning in the second chelek in Likutei Moharan Tinyana, lesson 48. It's a lesson about chizuk and encouragement. And we're also, as always, we're going to have our Parsha connection, Parshas Emor. And on top of that, we're also going to have our Lag BaOmer. Our Lag BaOmer connection, which I'm super excited about Lag BaOmer. I look forward to Lag BaOmer every year. And Baruch Hashem, I have a fire pit in my yard. So we're going to have a quarantine Lag BaOmer in my yard. And I'm looking forward to that. Now, also, the Baruch Hashem, these shiurim are now on the Breslov Research Institute website and YouTube. So you could go there to hear more shiurim. I'm excited about this opportunity. And I'm humbled to be working with them. And also, this is, I believe, our 19th shiur in Likutei Moharan, all inside shiur. And for all the people that are going to be listening to the recording of this, you could go to my SoundCloud account. If you go to SoundCloud at Shai Sussman, or you search Nach Daily, which is my Navi class, you'll be able to listen to the rest of the Likutei Moharan shiurim that we have. Because we're all new to Zoom, so I finally have them on video, because this is the new format of the shiur online. But if you're interested in more, you could go to my SoundCloud at Shai Sussman or Nach Daily, and you could pull up. I have around another 20 classes inside on Likutei Moharan. So there's a lot out there. So tonight I wanted to again learn Tinyana lesson 48 in the second chelek of Likutei Moharan. It's a long, short piece, which means it's not the longest. It's not the most in-depth or involved piece. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but it is a tad long, not very long, but a tad long. And I really wanted to learn some old-fashioned Breslov chizuk, some old-fashioned chizuk from Rabbi Nachman. And one of the reasons why I wanted to learn this is because I myself need chizuk. We all need words of encouragement. And Rabbi Nachman was the master of encouragement. In fact, his name, Nachman, it comes from what it says by Noach, Ze Yinachimeni. It says that Hashem said about Noach, Ze Yinachimeni, Noach, you're my comfort. And what he meant by that is that Rashi says, what does it mean, Ze Yinachimeni, my comfort? It says that there was 10 generations from Adam HaRishon until Noach. What happened by Adam HaRishon? There was a curse. It said Kots v'dardar tatzmiach v'itzavon tochenu, right? You're going to eat with itzavon, depression. All your work is going to be very hard. And kots v'dardar, thicks and thistles, however you would translate that word, they're going to prevail. And from 10 generations from Adam HaRishon until Noach, they had nothing, they had no way to work the ground until Noach came along. And what was his chiddush? Noach's chiddush was a plow. Ze Yinachimeni. Rashi says on the spot, what did Noach do? He was the first one to create a plow, which means he was the first one to start undoing the curse of Adam HaRishon, of B'tzavon Tochenu, of with depression you'll eat. And the first one to start undoing Kots v'dardar, to make the ground easier, to make life sweeter for people, to make life more enjoyable, to remove the depression. And that's where the name Nachman comes from. And from Ze Yinachimeni, that it was my comfort. And certainly for me personally, the tzaddik, Rabbi Nachman, you learn his chizuk, you learn his Torahs, and it's otherworldly. It's chizuk, it's encouragement, it's depth. You know, it's a true nechama, especially nowadays, aside for the corona, hashtag corona 2020, aside for that, just the sheer amount of mental health issues that people struggle with, the sheer amount of anxiety and the sheer amount of depression. And you learn, as we're going to see tonight from Rabbi Nachman, how strongly he spoke to the lowest common denominator, how strongly he spoke to the depressed person, how strongly he spoke to us when we're feeling worried and anxious, how strongly he spoke to every single person in all the struggles of their lives. So I myself, again, wanted chizuk, and I figured what better time to do one of these pieces in Likutei Moharan than right now. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the screen share over here, and then we'll jump right into the piece. Okay. You guys can see the screen share? It's good? Everyone can see the screen share. Okay, hold up, but my thing is being blocked for some reason. Let me see. Hold on, let me do that one more time because for some reason it's a freezing. Okay, that should work better. Hold on. Share screen. Okay. That's better for me. Okay, so it's in the second Chelik Likutei Moharan. It is lesson 48. Kisha Adam. I highlighted it over here on the screen. I'm sure everyone could see that. So let's jump right in. Again, this is an inside text-based shir. So we're going to do a bunch of reading tonight. Kisha Adam. Kisha Adam nichnas b'avodas Hashem. When a person enters into serving God, azai haderech shemarin lo hisrachakus. Then the path that gets shown to him is one of distance. V'nidme lo shemarchikin oso milamala. And it appears to that person as if he's being distanced from above. Ve'ein banichin oso klal lekanes lavodas Hashem. And you're not allowed or permitted at all to enter into the service of God. Uve emes. But the truth is, kol haisrachkus hu rak kulo hiskarvus. All the distancing and all the isolation and all the loneliness that a person feels is truly, really, in truth, it's bringing you close. It is hiskarvus itself. It's closeness in itself. And a person needs a tremendous amount of strength and encouragement that a person shouldn't fall in his mind. Oh, lost the place over here. Chas v'shalom. And a person sees how many days and years passed, and a person sees how much they toiled in serving God, and they see that, look, after everything I did, I'm still far from Hashem. And a person didn't even begin to at all into the gates of holiness. Because the person sees on themselves, I'm still filled with all my worries, anxieties, and depression, and all my averas and confusion. After all the years, what did I really accomplish? Anything that a person wants to do in holiness, it doesn't allow him. It appears to that individual that Hashem does not look at him at all. And Hashem doesn't want his service at all. That after all the time a person screaming and pleading and calling out to God that Hashem should help him. But even so, a person's still far. Therefore, it looks to that individual that Hashem does not care about him, does not look at him, and does not desire him at all. Because God does not want you. God does not want you. And I think this is something that's very apropos for now, because look what happened. Hashem shut down every Jewish institution. Hashem shut down every shul. Hashem shut down every yeshiva, every beis medrash, every minyan. And a person could ask, why is Hashem? And a person should think, like, well, why is Hashem doing this? I don't know why Hashem do it. I'm not going to attempt to answer that. But what I will say, though, is that a person could say, look, you see, Hashem doesn't want us. Lo bacharbo. Hashem doesn't care. After all your tefillas, after all your minyanim, after all your stress, after everything you've gone through in your life, it's nothing. Hashem is not looking at you. But Rabbi Nachman's saying that a person needs to be very, very strong in their mind that all hisrachakus hu kulo hiskarvus, distancing in itself is bringing close. That you're not just cast aside, you're not just left to struggle on your own, but somehow, we're going to talk about this more as the piece develops, but somehow the distancing in itself, the very fact that it seems that you are pushed away and that you can't enter into the gates of Kedusha, that itself is Hashem bringing you close. as one of the things that I've been thinking about, again, that's pertinent to this situation that we find ourselves in, is that even though this situation is so difficult and it's so trying on so many levels, there is a lot of hidden bracha. There's a lot of hidden bracha that with all the insanity that's happened, a person hopefully is able to look at their lives and look at themselves and begin to reevaluate what is going on. So you think you're being distanced? You think you're being pushed away? Really? It's kulo hiskarvus. Hashem is bringing each and every single one of us closer. And we know from the tzaddikim that everything that happens in the world is part of the redemption process. It's from the Vilna Gaon used to speak about this, Rav Kook used to speak about this, that the entire world, everything that happens, it's part of the Geula process. It's part of the redemption, like Purim, right? It happened over the course of many years, all these devastating things that happened, but it was all Hashem's non-miraculous, miraculous way in order to bring about the Geula, in order to bring about the redemption. So a person could look at the world events, and a person could look at themselves both on a macro and a micro level and say, look, Hashem doesn't want us. Hashem doesn't want us at all. But Rabbi Nachman's teaching to look with the eyes of tzaddikim, to look even deeper, to look in beyond that and see that the hisrachikus is kulo hiskarvus. The distancing, it's gewalt. Hashem is bringing us so close. Further along, hein kol eile al kol eile kiyotzi bezeh tzarich hiskaskus gadol. And how much with all these things we need to strengthen ourselves. It's at the bottom of the page, last line of the page. L'chazik atzmo me'od me'od, to strengthen ourselves a lot. Levi listakel al zeh klal, not to look at this at all. Don't pay any attention to it. Ki be'emes kol ha'israchukus hu rak kulo hiskarvus. All the distancing is Hashem bringing us close. B'kol hanal avar al kol hatzadikim, and all the tzaddikim had to go through this. Kasher shamanu mipiyam v'ferish, like I heard from them in their own mouths themselves. Shenidbe lahem sheHashem yisbarach ein mistako upona lahem klal. It appeared to them that Hashem doesn't want them at all. Machma shero shezezman rav sheHashem mivak shehim mivakshim yegem v'osim v'oidim avodas Hashem yisbarach. Because the person says, after all the years of me doing everything, at least I should succeed, maybe a little bit. But a person still feels so far. And if they were not to strengthen themselves without looking at this at all, they would stand strong and they would totally beat the bullet. Right? Which means if they had paid attention to every single little thought they had about it, to all their feelings that they were thinking about it, they would not have been zocha to the levels that they were zocha. Now, Rabbi Nachman says, I love this. This is incredible. It's chizuk, it's encouragement, straight from the tzaddik right to us. V'aklal, and the rule is, ahuvi achi, my beloved, my loved one, my brother. Chazak ve'ametz me'od, strengthen yourself a lot. The echos atzmacha b'kol hakochos l'shar kam b'avodasecha, and grab yourself with all your energy and strength to stay steadfast in your service of God. The al tachosh, do not be concerned. The al tistakel klal, and do not look al kol hanal o kayotze bezeh. Do not look at this at all. The imata rochok me'od me'od mimenu yisparach, and even if you're really, really far from God, and it appears to you that you're sinning every moment against God. With all this, nevertheless, you should know that this person, that is so entrenched in worry, anxiety, depression, his taivas, addictions, any little bit that he tries to wean himself away from his physicality and turn towards God, every tnuah, you know what tnuah is like, it's like, oy vey, you make a kvechs, oy Hashem. Any little bit at all that a person does to turn towards God is so valuable and precious. Afilu nekuda katana me'od, even a little bit. Shehu ne'etak megash miyusov elav yisparach, that he's trying to move away from the physicality towards God. Who rats b'zeh kama v'kama alaf and parsos ba'olamos alyonim. This takes a person thousands of places in the upper worlds. Kasher tabin hated min amaisa shel tzadik she's gabar alav me'od atzvus kemuva etzlenu. Like we know very well from the story of the Sayed Tzaddik. I'm going to say that in a minute. We're going to go through that story. And therefore, a person needs to strengthen themselves to be so happy. Because depression is devastating. V'da, and no. Immediately, when a person wants to enter to serve God, when you start listening to those thoughts of depression that seep in, it's an avera to listen to it. Chas v'shalom. Ki atzvus ki sitra achra, because depression is the other side. Hashem Yisbarach sona oto, and Hashem Yisbarach hates depression. Amazing. So we're just going to recap over here that Rabbi Nachman is saying that all the yeridas and all the worries and the anxieties and the distancing that a person feels in their life, it's really God bringing you close. It's really Hashem is bringing you close. It's the distancing itself brings the closest. The yerida is not an yerida, it's an aliyah. But in your mind, in your das, the way you're looking at it, then now it's a yerida. So as those negative thoughts are bombarding a person, as those thoughts are trying to take a person over and creating those feelings within inside a person that, oh, after all the years, what did I do? I don't even remember my learning. I didn't do chazara, and I could have done things better, and I didn't do them better. And look at me now. Hashem threw the entire Jewish nation out of their shuls, and out of their minyanim, and out of their yeshivas, and out of their batei midrashim, and out of their chesed projects. So a person can say, look, God doesn't want us. God does not want us at all. And then you start to feel really depressed. But Rabbi Nachman is saying, no, this is really Hashem bringing us close. This is part of the Geula process. This is part of the redemption. Just like Yosef HaTzadik, through miraculous means, he was thrown into a pit and raised to be the second in command. It was totally devastating for Yosef HaTzadik, but he was the one who was a Ish Matzliach. He was hijacked. He was traumatized. He was left to die, homicide, right, by his brothers of all people. But yet Hashem was the one who said about him, you're an Ish Matzliach. And he became the second in command. Why? Because it's rachakus kulo hiskarvus. The distancing is really Hashem bringing us close. The distancing is Hashem bringing, it itself is Hashem bringing us close. This is incredible. This is incredible. And this is what he mentions, but you see, it seeps in, it all takes place in the mind. The power of the mind is unbelievable. It all takes place in the mind. That Lafi Aras Ayin, Lafi the way we're viewing life, Lafi what our thoughts, our mind's eye is telling us, it looks like we've done nothing. It looks like we've accomplished. But one of the midas of the Sfiras is Netzach, as we're learning. I think this week is the week of Netzach. Netzach is eternity, forever, endurance, which means any good deed, anything we do never ever gets lost. It gets stored in a bank account that's always yielding returns. It never could be diminished. It never could be taken away. You did a mitzvah, boom, it's up there for netzach netzachim. As he's saying, even a person who is so magushim, a person who's involved in their addictions, involved in their depression, involved in their worrying, wreaking havoc, going neged Hashem every single moment of the day, any little thing that they do is considered valuable in the eyes of God, and it never, ever gets lost. There's a mashal in the Tanya that says when a person recognizes the king when he's on his throne, is that such a big deal? No, because the king's on his throne, so it's really not a big deal. But when a person recognizes the king, when the king is in his common clothing, and the person is not one of the royal people that are always around the king, and they say, is that the king? Right? So when you're Mamlech Hashem, from that, it's not an exact fit, but when you're Mamlech Hashem from that low place and you give a kvechs, Rabbi Nachman spoke about kvechsing, oy, Hashem, right? When you give a kvechs and you want to do good and you have a ratzon to do, even if you're sinning against Hashem at every moment, Hashem values that. That's considered precious to Hashem. that in one of my vlogs I put out recently, you can check it out on YouTube, one of my vlogs at Shia Sussman on my YouTube channel. So I put out how I was falling apart during one of the days, taking care of the kids with all the Zoom classes and everything like that, you know, which I was falling apart that day. But we need to know that even so, there's nothing, because when you're in that mindset, when you're in that place, you feel like Hashem doesn't want you. You feel like it's useless. You feel like, what's the point? Kenish, I can't handle it. There's nothing I can do. I can't handle it. But Rabbi Nachman is teaching, no, Hashem, that is closeness to God. That is closeness when you call out to God from that place, saying, Hashem, that itself, his rachakus is kulo hiskarvus. If you look at what you're bothered by, that you can't go to shul, or that you can't go to minyan, or that you can't learn, or you can't dedicate your time to the things that you want to do. So you're developing your ratzon tov, you're developing your good desire. And Rabbi Nachman taught us to look with the eyes of Panemius. He taught us to look at the depths of it, not to measure success by the outside world, not to measure success by what you're actually doing, right? We always think about success as, what did I accomplish today? What did I do? Did I do this? Success. Did I do that? How much did I do? Right? Success. So we're so used to putting ourselves out there. But Rabbi Nachman taught, what's success? What's he teaching? Success is what happens in your internal world, not what happens in your external world. If your internal world, you wanted to learn, but you didn't, that's considered a wonderful thing, right? It's not something to be checked off. And this is what he references. He talks about the story of the sad tzaddik. So what's the story? I'm going to say it outside. We're not going to learn it inside, but we're just going to say it outside. Incredible? Guys, incredible? Incredible? It's incredible. Okay. The story of the sad tzaddik is like this, that there was a tzaddik, and he started becoming very sad, and he started doing averos, and he started thinking in his mind about all the problems that he has in life. And he started falling and falling and falling and falling. And he became very, very depressed, and he felt the depression. He fell, and it was very, very hard for him. And obviously when you're depressed, it becomes hard to learn. It becomes hard to serve God. And he started going deeper to that darker place. And every mitzvah he tried thinking of, everything he found holes in, he found flaws in. He saw that he did it for alternative motives. Except when he started thinking, what's one thing? He started thinking, Shalom Asani Guy, Hashem created me a yid. Asher bachar bani mikol amim. And he started thinking about, wow, I'm Jewish. Isn't it amazing to be Jewish? This is unbelievable. And in the story, it says he started flying thousands and thousands of miles in the upper worlds. He started soaring, traveling great distance from the happiness that he got from thinking, Shalom Asani Guy, that Hashem created me a yid, and I'm proud to be a yid, and it's geschmack to be a yid. And he started flying thousands and thousands of miles. But then what happened? The thought crept in again. It's those thoughts again, they keep coming. He says, you know what? This is not going to last forever. And I'm going to land in a completely different place. And people are going to be surprised after I flew thousands of miles. How in the world did I get to this place? So he started feeling sad because, again, no pleasure lasts forever. And as we spoke about in the last year, a person goes in and out of feeling states. So you're not going to be able to hold that state forever. So what happened? As he started to get sad and the happiness started to wear off, he landed back. And what happened? What did he see when he landed back in his body? On this earth, he didn't move even the slightest bit. He didn't move even a hair's drop. Maybe a little bit, the hair's breadth he moved, maybe something. But in this world, he moved nothing at all. That it's possible, it's such a deep message because it's possible for a person to soar thousands of miles in the upper world. But in this world, it looks like he didn't do anything. It looks like you're still in the same spot you were yesterday. And in fact, you were. But in the spiritual world, you accomplished eons. You soar thousands of miles. We're so used to judging ourselves by our output. We're so used to judging ourselves by, what did I accomplish? What do I do? Do I know? How's this? About that? You know? And Rabbi Nachman's refocusing us, telling accomplishing doesn't have to do with the outside world. Certainly it's good. He wanted people to learn Shulchan Aruch every year and Kol Torah Kula and all the Meforshim, and he wanted it, and that's a wonderful thing. He wanted everyone to learn all the Svarim, and that's a good thing. But the main accomplishing is the accomplishing that a person acknowledges their mitzvahs, that a person does internal work, that a person could serve thousands, person could soar, like the story of the Seirat Tzaddik, could soar thousands of miles and not move in the outside world at all, right? Because we're so used to, productivity, it's got to be measurable, it's got to be productivity. And there is a grain of truth to that, obviously. But did we forget about the internals? Have we become so concerned about our checklist of things of what we accomplished that we totally left the direction of our lives, that they become outside in lives instead of inside out lives? Where we look at the true source of our experience, which is coming from our mind, that Rabbi Nachman's telling us not to pay attention to, not to pay attention to the outside world, and look at the true source of our experience, which is an inside-out experience, which is an experience that's being created through our mind's eye. So that's why he says, don't look at this and all, ein mistakel klal, pay no attention. Why? Because Rabbi Nachman understood that your experience of life is being created from the illusion of your thinking. Or he understood that the experience of your life is being created from your mind. So in your mind's eye, you think you didn't accomplish because in the revealed world, you didn't accomplish. Right? But that's only klape your mind's eye. That doesn't mean that's really what it is. In Hashem's eyes, in the eyes of Tzaddikim, you flew thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. This is amazing. Straight from Rabbi Nachman to us. It doesn't get better than this. This is incredible. I'm going to go back to the screen share. Okay, share screen. Okay, Vitzarech Lios. You guys see that I highlighted the next paragraph. Vitzarech Lios action gadol b'avodas Hashem. And a person needs to be really stubborn. Levi laniach es makomo, to not leave their place. Don't even leave the little bit, right? If you're sinning, you could still do some mitzvah. Just because you're sinning doesn't mean you can't do anything. Don't leave the little bit that you've done. Af im yavor lavma, even if whatever happened to you, happened to you. Uzachor davar zehetiv, and remember this well. Ki titztarech lezeh me'od kishehatchil. When you begin to start serving God, you need to be strong in order to grab yourself and stand your ground. Even if you get taken down, means even if every single time you fall, you need to pick yourself up and start again. Because there are times when a person gets taken down from serving God, as it's known. Nevertheless, you need to do what's on your part. To do what you could do in the service of God. And don't allow yourself to completely fall. Chas v'shalom. And all the falling and the dissensions and the descents and the anxiety and the worry and the depression and the trauma. It's essential that a person goes through these things before they enter into the gates of holiness. And even all the tzaddikim went through this. So I love that because if Rabbi Nachman went through this, for sure we're going to go through this. If all the tzaddikim went through this, for sure we're going to go through this. Means if we find ourselves in a fallen state, we're not the exception to the rule. We're part of the rule itself. Vida sheyesh echad keshekvarhu etzel pesach hakedusha, and a person know that there are people. A person can find himself right by the entrance of kedusha. And a person turns backwards because they become confused. Or because when he's close to the gate, then the Yetzer Hara and the Sitra Achra comes to take you down and strengthens himself because he doesn't want you to enter. Rachmana litzlan. With tremendous strength. Rachmana litzlan. And doesn't even let you cross the threshold. And therefore, you get discouraged and you start looking at all your negative thoughts and you turn back. Chas v'shalom. Because this is what the Baal Davar does and the other side does. When a person sees that a person's at the gates of Kedusha, at the entrance, and about to cross that threshold, then they try with all their strength to take you down. I'm just going to read to, right? Then they try with all their strength to take you down. Right? That Rabbi Nachman says, in another place, he says it's like a person in a wrestling match with their Yetzer Hara. When the opponent sees they're about to lose, what do? They try their hardest to throw in a last sucker punch in order to make it that they should win. So when a person's right by the gates of Kedusha, the rules of the spiritual worlds are that a person has to have a Yerida. That the rules of the spiritual world is that all the negative forces are going to come and try to take you down right when you're at the gate of Kedusha. Right? Because it sees you're winning the wrestling match. So you're winning the wrestling match, it's going to start with all its energies in order to take you down at that very moment. Al Kain, tzarich az hischaskus gadol me'od, gadol connected. Therefore, you need to strengthen yourself against it. V'shamanu mitzadikei amitim, and I heard from true tzadikim, she'amar she'ilu haya omer la'echad, that if someone would have said to them, yeh ma sheyeh, whatever it was, if someone would have said to them, Achi, Chazak, ve'echos atzmacha, brother, strengthen and grab yourself. Hayisi ratz umizdars ma'od b'avodaso. The person would run and serve God. Ki gam alav avar kol hanal, because this person himself also went through it. V'lo haya shomea shum hischaskus mishum adam, and he didn't hear any words of encouragement for anyone. Therefore, a person who wants to enter into Avodas Hashem, remember this well. Strengthen yourself and do whatever you're able to do in Avodas Hashem. And all the years and days will pass, and you'll be able to enter and cross that barrier. Because Hashem is full of compassion and wants your service. Vida, and you should know. No. Any little bit or movement or iota or anything at all that a person does in order to remove themselves from their physicality, they all come together and gather like connected dots at the time that you need. And this time is at a time when you're feeling super down. Vida, and no, vida, and you should know. And these are the famous words that Rabbi Nachman says, that a person needs to know that this world is a narrow bridge. That a person needs to go through the narrow bridge. And the main thing is, do not make yourself scared. Incredible? Incredible. So let's just speak this out. Rabbi Nachman is saying in these amazing words, buckets of encouragement, profound words of depth, that if he was speaking to another tzaddik, and if someone would have said to him, brother, grab yourself, that would have made all the difference. If he would have heard words of encouragement, this person said that Rabbi Nachman was speaking to, brother, hold yourself, encourage yourself, stay strong, don't fall, you'll break through. When you reach the Shari Kedusha, everything is going to try to take you down. Do not be afraid. This world is a narrow, narrow bridge. The whole wide world is a narrow, narrow bridge. A narrow, narrow bridge. A narrow, narrow bridge. Right? That you need not to be scared. You need not to be scared of the illusions of your mind. You need not to be scared of the world around you. Notice how he says, also it's important to point out, it doesn't say, everyone thinks it goes, Veikar shelo lefached, do not be scared. He doesn't say that. He says, Veikar shelo yitpached. You should not make yourself afraid. You should not make yourself afraid. I heard from a rabbi that I'm closer, Rabbi Baruch Klein, who lives here in Inwood. He said, what does it mean, shelo yispached? You should not make yourself scared. He said, if there's a reason to be scared, you could be scared. But don't over-exacerbate it and make yourself more scared than necessary. Don't make yourself afraid, right? So here Rabbi Nachman is saying, right, that you don't need to fear. Everything is happening through your mind's eye. And these are all thoughts that are coming to take over you and hijack you and take you down. But the main thing is, do not be scared. Hold yourself. As before, one of the first things that, before Reb Nosson met Rabbi Nachman, he had a reoccurring dream that he was climbing a ladder and there was someone at the top of the dream calling down to him saying, hold yourself, hold yourself. And when he met Rabbi Nachman for the first time, he realized that was the person in my dream, that Rabbi Nachman was indeed the person in his dream, as Reb Nosson was climbing the ladder and trying over and over again to say, hold yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't let yourself fall. Because the main thing is to do what's on your part, to do your own. Amazing? It's amazing. I'm going to pause here for questions. If anyone has any questions or anything, I'm going to pause. You could unmute yourself and you could ask some questions if you have any questions. And then we could go into the Parsha connection. Oh, there's one last point over here. What does it mean that the world is a narrow bridge? What does that mean? What does that even mean? I've spent many hours thinking about what that means, that the world is a narrow bridge. Don't be scared. And not that, of all the quotes from Rabbi Nachman, there's so many amazing things. Like, that was the one that took off. Vayikar shelo yispached, right? The world, right? Kolam kulo gesher tzarmo. The world's a narrow. What does that mean? What, like, the world's a narrow bridge? So, like, what does that mean? So I did a little bit of research over here. I looked it up in good old Reb Nosson, Likutei Halachos, and he speaks about it in several places in Likutei Halachos. And so I'm just going to offer one thing that Reb Nosson says that this means, that the world's a narrow bridge. Reb Nosson says this in Likutei Halachos, Hilchos Tefillah, Halacha 5, letter 41. Hashtag Likutei Halachos, right? So what does he say? He says that this world, the entire Olam Hazeh, is a narrow bridge. And what's the narrow bridge? How do you cross the narrow bridge? How do you cross the narrow bridge into the next world? He goes on a shmooze and talks about emes, truth. That when a person searches for the truth, a person searches for the inside of the inside, that's how you're able to cross this world and enter into the next world, to successfully make it through the delicate balance of this world, when you search for the meat of emes. And what's the truth?
Froze. We couldn't hear you.
I froze?
Yes.
Okay, we'll repeat that again. So Rav Nosson says, what does it mean, truth? How do you cross the bridge? He says that you cross the bridge through the trait of emes, through the trait of truth. That if you want to pass through this world and make it successfully into the next world, if you want to pass through the delicate balance of this world, you find the truth in everything. And what's the truth? What's the truth? What's the connection here? The truth is that you think you messed up. You think according to your mind's eye, you messed up. You think that you're a failure. You think that Hashem doesn't want you according to your mind's eye. No. Look for emes, there's emes. Look for the truth is truth. And you'll see that this is the only way to cross into this world. That it's only coming through your mind's eye. You think you know? You don't know. What do you really know? And when you look for the truth, when you look for the Ratzon Hashem and see that his srachakus kulo hiskarvus, that distancing is really bringing you close, then you're able to cross the Gesher Tzar Ma'od. Then you're able to make it through the delicate and gentle balance of this world successfully. You're able to complete your soul tikkun as looking for truth in God are one and the same. But you have to look for truth's truth. Emes, there's emes, as Rabbi Nachman says. You have to look for truth's truth. When you see that your experience of life is like he's saying this, I'm trying to bolster this point over here because I think this is really kind of at the crux of it. That he's saying, don't pay attention. He's talking about the power of thought here in a very deep way. He's saying, don't pay attention to to the thoughts that are running through. Ein mistaklel of klal. Don't look at them at all, right? Because in your mind's eye, you think you messed up, right? You think your experience of life is coming at you. You think your experience of life is based on the external world and the things that you accomplish. Look internal. Look towards the inside out. Look for the true source of your experience, and you'll see that even when you're going to read that it's a godly experience, you'll see that the hisrachakus is kulo is karvas when you understand the truth. When you see the truth of your experience of life, there's something about that that's freeing, that gives you that center of gravity in order to reevaluate your situation, in order to look towards internal goals and not external goals to what you've accomplished. Now I'm going to say my own thoughts for a minute. Just because I have the floor over here, so I'm able to do such a thing. You know, it's like the world is going to go back to normal, you know, and already in Eretz Yisrael, there are people that listen to this shir in Eretz Yisrael, and they're already opening up malls. In the States, really, no one seems to have any clue about how things are going to open up and whatnot, you know, and there's a lot of opinions on that. But like, for me, I just feel like I'm not ready for things to go back to normal. Normal is crazy. Right? The fanciness and the level of extravagance that people have, that we all have, the clothing and the trips and the vacations and the cars and the schools and the shuls and the mostos, and normal is insane. Normal is crazy, right? And Rabbi Nachman and Hashem is pointing us back inwards to show you that, like, all the external world, all those things might be nice, but that's not the main thing. The main thing isn't what you accomplished, your output. The main thing is your input. The main thing is are you true to yourself? Are you honest to yourself? Are you good to your family? Do you give charity? Are you trying your best? Do you want to come close to God? Are you trying the tachlis? Are you being distracted? Right? So his sarachakus kulo his karvus, that, you know, normal, these are my own thoughts. You can totally disagree with them if you want to disagree with them. It's fine, you know. But, you know, normal is crazy. It's crazy. The world's going to go back and everyone's going to get caught up. And, you know, even though it has been a very difficult situation, obviously, and unfortunate situation, no one asked for this to happen, obviously. But, like, what are we going to take with us? Are we going to take the hidden blessing to be found in this time period? Although it's very trying, and I'm not trying to make light of that at all for anyone, you know, but are we going to go back to normal? Are we going to start judging our yeshivas, our schools, ourselves, our work, our lives, our status in life by our external output? Or are we going to go and take this time to reflect and see that, to point inwards and see really what's important in life? Are we going to go to an inside-out understanding of life and move into that understanding as much as we could, to see that accomplishing is an internal thing? It's not only an external thing, something that we forgot about. So we think, oh, if I have this, that, and the other, I've accomplished. But Rei Nachman is saying, no, you've accomplished even if you've done nothing. You've wanted to serve God. You had a Ratzon Tov to serve Hashem. That's called accomplishing. That's an amazing thing. Should we move on to the Parsha connection and Lag BaOmer? We should move on to the Parsha connection.
Can I ask a question?
Go for a question.
Okay, so Rabbi Nachman is saying about how, you know, when you're on the precipice of Kedusha, that's when you're going to get knocked back. And it seems like, is he referring to some specific life story or specific instance, or that was his general life experience?
I think he was definitely, I think it's both in the same. I'm going to repeat the question over here. Rabbi Nachman talks about a person who's on the precipice of Kedusha and then gets knocked down. Was he referring to his own life experience, or was he referring to someone else? So he was definitely referring to his own life experience. That's for sure. As we learned about many, many times, about how Rabbi Nachman said about himself, how, like, all his levels were taken from him and he found everything coming in the service of God so difficult, and how much he had to encourage himself. And, you know, next, and it's funny, this ties into what lesson I wanted to do next. I wanted to do next after this year to do a few shirim on maybe it's Ayin Ches or something, I don't remember, Prostagid, simple Jew, which is a little bit more of a longer and involved Torah. But Rabbi Nachman says over there about how like, you know, as we're learning, there's this double-edged sword that runs through all Rabbi Nachman's Torahs, that there's Yeridas and Aliyahs, there's up and downs, right? That part of the process of growth, the spiritual DNA of growth, the rules of the spiritual world is that when a person is ascending, they must experience a descent. And that descent is really an ascent in itself, right? That's what he's teaching. And that certainly was his experience of life. That certainly was his experience of life. I don't know if he was referring to a specific person. He was definitely talking about himself, and he was talking to us in hashtag Corona 2020. He was talking to us. I want to offer one more explanation of why is it that hisrachikus kulo hiskarvus? Why is it that an aliyah, that Yerida is really an aliyah and vice versa? Oh, so it's, just to finish that last point before I move on, is that, so Tani, the tzaddik is
Wait, translate the stuff into English.
okay. Just to translate that last point that I was saying, that there's always, the tzaddik is always experiencing Yeridas because they're always moving upwards, right? The tzaddik is always experiencing difficulties because they're always moving upwards. So Sarachakus is kulos karvus because they're always, Rabbi Nachman said, I accomplished in 1 minute, and he's accomplished my entire lifetime, you know, and every minute is completely new, and what I accomplished up until now, I accomplished in the next minute in my entire lifetime, right? So he was always moving upwards in his avodas Hashem. So because of that, he was also always experiencing a quote unquote downwards. Right. I think a way to understand this is to put it just on the human experience itself, which means sometimes we get older in life, and I'll say this about myself: you get older in life, and you're like, "Why am I still struggling with this?" Or a person gets older in life, and they say, "Why am I struggling with this now? This is not something I ever struggled with before. So why is this particular thing really bothering me? I've never struggled with it before. I was always kind of okay with it, but now it's these thoughts or whatever it is really coming to haunt me." And I think the answer is, what we're saying is, because as a person raises levels of consciousness, as a person raises levels of awareness, so the tips and tricks that worked for them yesteryear no longer work. So a person's now forced to readjust their caliber to their new level of consciousness that they're at, which means yesterday's coping skills and tricks and tips and things and behaviors that you were doing yesterday, now that you've raised levels of awareness, those things no longer work for you and now are bothersome from you and may even set you back, only for you to now attack them on a higher level, which means it's precisely because you raised levels of consciousness that you're experiencing difficulty. So a person says, "Oh, look at me, after all the years, I've never amounted to anything." But Rabbi Nachman is teaching, no, that's really an aliyah. The reason why you're being troubled with these things now is precisely because you went up to the next rung, and it's time for you to defeat these things on a higher level. So every Yerida is really an aliyah. The Yerida itself is an aliyah. The Yerida itself is an aliyah. And certainly, as Tani, you were asking, Rabbi Nachman,
translate Yerida
every descent,
and aliyah for a new member.
Every descent is really an ascent. Every falling is really a bringing close. Every distancing is really a hug from Hashem. Every trouble, every pain, every iota of conflict is really God bringing you closer. Every struggle is Hashem showing you, I love you. Wild? It's wild. It takes Rabbi Nachman to say that. Rabbi Nachman takes a tzaddik like Rabbi Nachman to say that. Now let's move on to the Parsha connection, and then we'll go on to Lag BaOmer. Oh yeah, love Lag BaOmer. Just opening up my Chumash over here for a second. It is Parshas Emor, right? So what is this Parshas Emor? What is one of the first things that it opens up? That it says over here that a person, a Kohen, should not come in contact with a mace, with a dead person. A Kohen's not only become ritually impure, tameh, they need to remain pure. So a Kohen is not allowed to come in contact with a dead person. So now there's a quandary that happens. I like to call this the Kohen's quandary. What's the Kohen's quandary? So the Kohen has kids, right? And he's playing with other kids in the field. Mastame, his kids are playing. Ostensibly, his kids are playing with other kids on the block, other Jews. And in those days, you had dead people around, and there was a dead person in the field. So some people want to educate their kids, by putting everyone else down around them. This one's no good, and that one's no good, and this one's no good. But you can't educate your kid Moshe like that. Why? Because he's playing with other Jews. So if you want to say, oh, well, non-Jews are bad, don't stay away, bad, 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 right? So you could do that. But when it comes to other Yidden, you don't want to put other Yidden down. So Shmuel, your son Moshe, is playing in the field, and there's a mace there, there's a dead body there, there's a corpse there, and he's playing with other kids. Now, other kids are allowed to go to that area, but your son Moshe is not allowed to go to that area. So how are you supposed to teach your son Moshe not to go to that area? How are you supposed to teach him that? You can't put the other kids down because they're Am Yisrael. You can't put them down. So how are you supposed to be mechanech your kid? How are you supposed to educate your kid Moshe to stay away? You don't say the outside world is bad. You don't say those kids are bad. What do you say? You say, Moshe, you're unique. You have a unique specialness to you. Other people are halig. Other people are holy. The other people, they're amazing. But Moshe, you have something called the Kedushas HaKahuna, the priestly holiness. You have Kedushas HaKahuna. You have something unique about you, special. Because you have something unique about you special, you shouldn't go to that field and play with those boys there because there's a dead body there. And you're not allowed to be Metame Mace. Right? So this is what Rabbi Nachman is teaching. Hold yourself. Realize your Nekudas Tovos. Realize your good things. Realize that everything that's happening around you is totally, totally good. It doesn't look good to the outside. But Rabbi Nachman, again, is refocusing us on the internalities, showing us that it's an inside-out world, and you have to value yourself and value your preciousness. Now, another Parsha connection for Lag BaOmer. Woo! Lag BaOmer is one of those things. I think if you like Rabbi Nachman, you like Lag BaOmer. You gotta like Rabbi Shimon. You gotta like Lag BaOmer. So the Lag BaOmer connection is like this. It's also a Parsha connection. The first pasuk in the parsha says, "Vayomar Shemo Moshe Emor El HaKohanim B'nei Aaron ve'amarta aleim lenefesh lo yitame ba'amav." Hashem says to Moshe, "Say Emor, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, ve'amarta aleim, and say to them, lenefesh lo yitame ba'amav. Don't become tameh for a person in your nation." Right? The Kohen shouldn't become tameh, shouldn't become ritually impure. So Rashi asks, what's this double language of saying Emor ve'amarta? Emor ve'amarta? Just say, you just said, right? Ve'yomer Shemo Moshe Emor, say to the Kohanim. So say that, but it says Emor Elok, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, ve'amarta aleim, then tell them again. So what does Rashi say? Rashi says Emor Elok Kohanim, say to the Kohanim, Emor ve'amarta. What does it mean? This double language of saying, lahazir gedolim al ketanim. To warn the adults just as much as to warn the children, which means it's a double language, right? The two sayings are this applies to adults just as much as it applies to children. So there's a double language to lahazir, warn the adults just as much as to warn the gedolim, right? So what's the Lag BaOmer connection here? Every year, Parshas Emor falls out right before Lag BaOmer. Every year. So the remez, this is a remez, this is definitely a drush, but the remez is lahazir gedolim. What does lahazir mean? To radiate, to illuminate, right? That lahazir gedolim al ketanim means that you need to be filled, the adults, in order to teach it to their children, you need to be filled with light. You need to radiate light, and your kids will learn for your own radiation. And this is, lahazir comes from the word Zohar, the Zohar HaKadosh, that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai revealed during his time in the cave. That Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he was hiding in the cave because his life was at stake in order to get away from, I believe it was the Romans at that time. I think it was the Romans. Hashtag need a history note. and and he was hiding in a cave. He went into quarantine. He went into isolation. He didn't know if he would be caught. He didn't know if he'd be found. He didn't even know if he'd ever be able to exit the cave. Ostensibly, he thought he'd be there forever, in quarantine, in isolation, coronavirus, all by himself, all by himself. But what happened? His sarachakas kula hiskarvas. Precisely from that place of Yerida, precisely from that place, that descent that Rabbi Shimon experienced by entering into the cave, that's when he was lahazir gedol makatanim. That's when he received the light of the Zohar, and he revealed the amazing illuminating lights of the Panemius HaTorah, which gets revealed on Lag BaOmer, on that day. And that's what Rabbi Nachman was teaching us, to look at the internals of life. Stop judging by the externals. Stop judging by the externals. And it was precisely the pain and suffering that Rabbi Nachman went through in the cave, in Meron, is precisely it's only because he went through all those difficulties that he was able to reveal the light of the Zohar. He was able to reveal the light of Panemius. He was able to reveal the light of Panemius HaTorah. And by extension, Rabbi Nachman. Hey, this is Breslov Shir. I bring it back to Rabbi Nachman after all. And by extension, Rabbi Nachman, who took Rabbi Shimon's Bar Yochai's teaching and he expounded on him and revealed the Panemius HaTorah to teach that every Jew, no matter where you are in life, you have something good about you. Every Jew, no matter what you've done in life, with all your anxieties, depression, worries, antidepressants, and addictions, you're good in my eyes. That's what he taught. That no matter what you do in Hashem's eyes, you are all good in the hood, because Hashem created you a yid. You need to look at the Panemius. That even when you think you're in your lowest state, the distancing is really an embrace. It's a warm embrace by God, who's hugging you, saying, Gevalt, I love you. Even exactly how you are, I love you. There's nothing you need to accomplish on the outside world. You need to look inside, and I love you. And that's why, and that's Lahazir Gdol Malkatanim. That's the great tzaddikim, Lahazir, the great tzaddikim, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and the Baal Shem Tov, and the Arizal, and Rabbi Nachman, that were able to teach us this light in order to shed light upon us. And that's why it's brought down, Nachman ben Simcha is Gematria Shimon ben Yochai, because it was Rabbi Nachman was able to spread the teachings of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and take his teachings to another level. And that's the light of Lag BaOmer, of his Sarachakas Kulo Hiskarvas, the light of the Zohar HaKodesh, the light of Tinyana Memches, our lesson for tonight. And with that, everyone, if people have questions, we'll stay on the line. But with that, everyone, I wish everyone a good Shabbos. And we should be zoiche to, if you have a fire pit in your yard, that's good. A nice thing to do. But if not, to enjoy Hashem's love and enjoy Hashem's embrace, that he's embracing every single one of us at this point in our lives. And he's bringing every single one of us without fail to a higher place and bringing the world to a higher place, to its final redemption through this process by refocusing our attentions. And as we understand that every distance is really a hug. Every distance is really a hug.
Yeah, thank you.